Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about risers and making risers sound inside Ableton using loads and loads of different automation types. I have a sound setup for you which I think is quite interesting, so that's what we'll be looking at. Before we dive into that, I do want to say that our remix competition that I'm hosting in my Discord server is less than 2 weeks from completion. So if you're not already working on a track, then you should definitely get started right now. And if you are working on a track, then make sure that you get along with it and make sure that you have a hold on and move on, trying to finish it as soon as possible, because the 30th of September the submissions are closed and you can no longer submit, and then we'll be picking a winner who can receive a lot of sample packs and also 5 hours worth of lessons from me, private lessons. So if you're interested in that, then definitely join my Discord channel, check it out, and go to the info. Scroll up to the pinned message, and there you can find all the information about the remix competition. So yeah, with that being said, let's get right into it. Alright, so here I have a riser, which I made inside Faceband. Now the majority is actually happening in the effects, and that's really where it becomes interesting, playing with the effects. But I'll just play you the sound that I made here. Just quickly play it on its own. So as you can hear, it's a very weird kind of sound. It sounds like it's constantly rising and falling in pitch really quickly, even though it's technically only rising in pitch. But there are some quirky things happening with especially the ring modulation here and the reverser as well. So that's what we'll be taking a look at. Now I made this using the kilohertz plugins, but there's no real reason that you need to do it, at least not the bass sound that comes out of Faceband. You can make that in any synth. So let's open it up and see what we have here. So what we're looking at is actually very basic patch. As you can see, we have an LFO here at 1/16, which is set to re-trigger mode, so that it always triggers at the exact right moment when the MIDI clip starts playing. And that's connected to the pulse width modulation of this waveform, as well as the pitch of this waveform. And then we have a macro set up to the filter cutoff on this bandpass. So what you'll see is that if I play this, we have a very quick plucky sound coming from both the pitch being modulated and the pulse width being modulated. And that's really what kind of creates the pluckiness of each 16 note that we hear. And then the texture coming up and the fact that it kind of opens up, that you can hear the filter open up, is coming from that macro. So if I set it right here and play it, you can see the quick modulation. You cannot even see it with how high or how quick the modulation is. It doesn't show every frame of it, but you can see the filter opening up here. As you can see, the modulation isn't even that great. So that's just a sound that you can make in any synth. Then you just need one envelope and an oscillator capable of both pitch modulation as well as pulse width modulation on a basic square wave. So the real magic of this sound really kind of comes in with all these effects that I'm adding to it. So we have the ring modulator here, and if we look at the ring modulator, you can see that we're modulating, or we are automating its frequency as well as the mix of it. So that's really kind of changing the texture over time and increasing that texture. So you can hear that towards the end here. This is the ring modulator doing its thing. That's the way you hear the high end kind of coming in. And then we have the reverser as well, which is a cool little plugin. What it does is it takes whatever note length you've selected and then reverses it and then plays the reverse of that. And then there's a few things here, but we're basically using it to just make the sound a bit more interesting. You can see over time the mix is just turning up. And the same is kind of happening for this ensemble as well. So all these little modules that I just showed, the ring modulation, the reverser, the ensemble, what it's doing is it's just making change over time, and it's just another way we can add an automation clip to what we already have. And you can see when I just kind of quickly scroll through it, how all the mixes kind of turn up over time, and we also have the detune turning up, as you can see here. That's one right on top here. So that just makes the sound more interesting towards the end. And actually, one thing I forgot to mention is that we're also automating the pitch wheel. You can see the pitch bend range is 24. And in Ableton, what I don't like is that in MIDI clips, if you use the MIDI control pitch bend, let's say you set up something like this, and you start playing it from here, and then you stop playing it here because you want to check something else or something, and then you come back to an area that doesn't have the pitch bend, it will actually start from this value, and everything will sound out of tune in that MIDI clip because the pitch bend doesn't reset. So keeping that in mind, what we've actually done is in Phaseband and also in Serum, you can just automate the pitch wheel itself. That's just like a knob that you can automate itself, which is really useful. That kind of prevents that from happening because automation always re-triggers in Ableton. So here you can see we also have a pitch wheel automation just going up in pitch by two octaves. So yeah, sorry for not mentioning that earlier. Quickly back to what we were talking about again, in terms of adding more interest towards the end of the sound, adding more energy to it. A cool trick you can use is to take like an echo or any kind of delay really, and set it to ping pong mode, and then turn down the stereo a little bit on it. And then as you can see, what we're doing is just turning up the dry wet towards the end here. That's going to make the sound a lot more stereo. Together with this ensemble, which is also spreading it in the stereo. Without these, it's going to be a mono signal here. So with these, you can hear that it puts it in the stereo field, and because we're changing the mix over time, it actually starts out as a mono signal and then just completely comes up into the stereo field, sounding a lot bigger towards the end. So that's another neat trick that you can use there. The final tricks that I have implemented here is just some EQing basically. We have a low pass filter opening up, as well as the volume, just increasing in volume. And those are all the automations in here. And that's basically how to make that particular sound. Now, what I want you to do with this is I don't want you to just copy over exactly what I've done, but I want you to experiment with a few of those plugins that I've kind of shown off here. Just find your own kind of plugins that kind of do these things for you. So maybe a ring modulator doesn't really give the sound that you want it to. In that case, you might try a phaser or flanger or whatever. And try to find a few plugins that can do this kind of thing, that can make one of those long, dragged out riser sounds more interesting over time. And try to experiment a lot with, you know, the different plugins that you put on there. So in this case, that would be, for me, these three, and I guess also this one, which is an echo effect. This is really where the main bulk of the kind of coloring and the kind of texturing and the kind of interest of the sound kind of come from. And I would like for you to do it, your main takeaway from this tutorial is that you need to find a few plugins in your arsenal of plugins that can do this for you, that can make a very boring, basic riser sound that I made a lot more interesting. So yeah, that's really what this tutorial is about. It's not so much about the exact riser that you might get from this video, although it's an interesting sound. I think that's not really the learning part here. I would like to see what you guys can come up with in terms of, you know, really experimenting with your own plugins and seeing what you can do with them to make sounds like these more interesting. So if you have something that you really want to share with me or with anybody in the community that you found, maybe a plugin that works particularly well for this, let me know either in the comments down below or on my Discord server. You can just join with the link in the description. Again, also for the remix contest. But yeah, that's going to be the video for today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you like what I do here. If that's the case, then leave a like. That really helps the channel a lot. And if you're new here, subscribe. I'm also in the process of, by the way, adding memberships to my YouTube channel. That way you guys can financially support me if you choose to do so. There's not going to be any content behind the paywall. The only thing that is going to be behind the paywall is going to be project files and sample files and like track files for Ableton and that kind of stuff. That way I can still provide some value without actually, you know, having something that is like actual videos behind the paywall. I don't want my videos to be behind the paywall, but I do want to give something extra to the people who tend to support me. So there's going to be a whole announcement video on that when I really get that through. Just wanted to let you guys know that I'm in the process of making that. It might take some while because I'm trying to get a Discord integration for that to work. And right now it's just not working for me. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. Just a little announcement tucked in the end. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.